Now that we've introduced the notion of slope, we can start trying to find a way to find an equation for a line. Recall that the graph of an equation is the set of points which satisfy. So our goal is to find an equation where every point on the line will satisfy that equation, and every point not on that line won't. For an example, let's have a line, say this one here, with slope m. So if I move over 1 unit this way, I'll go up by m. Further, let's look at a point, say this point here on the line, which will designate x1, y1. Now for any other point on this line, say x comma y, I know that the slope m will be equal to the difference in the y's, in this case y minus y1, divided by the difference in x's, which is going to be x minus x1. So this is a good start for an equation, because I know for every point on this line, the red line, if I plug in the x value and the y value, then the slope will be equal to m. And for every point not on this line, it won't be. So this is a pretty good equation, except for one problem. There's one point on this line that if you plug it into this equation, it won't be true. And that's our starting point, x1, y1. If I plug in x1, y1 into this equation, I'll get 0 over 0, which isn't equal to m because it's undefined. One of the problems here is this division, x minus x1. It's going to give us some problems. So how do I get rid of that? Well, I can multiply both sides by x minus x1. And this will cancel with this. And so I'll get the equation x minus x1 times m equals y minus y1. For every point on the line, this equation here will be true, just like the previous one, because I'm allowed to multiply both sides by a non-zero number, and for every other point on the line, x minus x1 will not be 0. It will also be true for the point x1, y1, because if you plug in x1, y1 here, you'll get 0 equals 0. So every point on the line satisfies, and every point not on the line will not satisfy. So this is an equation of this line. This gives us our first approach whenever we're trying to find the equation of a line, and it's called the point-slope form. If you know a point, x1, y1, and the slope, m, you can use this formula to write an equation of that line. Let's look at some examples. Suppose I have the point 2, 4 and the slope 3. This is enough information to give an equation of a line. The equation of the line requires you to have the slope and a point. So here I have a point. I'll label the x x1 and the y y1. And the point slope form is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So in this case, it would be y minus 4, and that's equal to 3 times the quantity x minus 2. And this is an equation for that line. How about you guys try example 2? You can pause the video until you're done. Okay. So for this one, we have x1, y1, and so our formula will be y minus 3 equals the slope, which is negative 1/2, times the quantity x minus x1, which is 2. This is the equation for that line.